Welcome to the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame. I'm Mike Keith, and this is the Tennessee Talk of Fame, presented by the Tennessee Lottery. We welcome a 2018 inductee into the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame, Blaine Bishop, to be here with us. You know him from 10 years of playing safety in the National Football League, but it's Oilers Tribute Weekend. So how about a guy who made Pro Bowls as a Houston Oiler, a Tennessee Oiler, and a Tennessee Titan?
Oh, I didn't.
And of course, this weekend, Oilers Tribute Weekend, the Titans play the Indianapolis Colts. He's from Indianapolis. Only fitting, you're checking all the boxes for us. And I want to start you off with something really interesting. I'm at a college football game out of state 2 years ago. I'm in the press box, and I meet two guys who played with you at Ball State.
Oh, wow.
Both of them also knew you growing up in Indianapolis. And they were extremely proud of what you had done in pro football. But one of them said, I never thought Blaine would have a chance to do what he did in football. Knowing him in high school, I never thought he would have a chance to do that. But he constantly kept improving. From high school, going to a Division II school, then going on to Ball State, and then coming into the league as an 8th round pick. There aren't even 8 rounds anymore. You did it. How were you able to keep improving all the way through?
You know what? I really don't know that answer besides just the belief and the hard work that all I wanted to do was play Division I football. That was my whole. I just wanted to prove that I could play Division I football. Naturally, growing up in Indianapolis, went to Cathedral High School, which was Fighting Irish. We've got pro guys still in the league today. And I wanted to go to Notre Dame, and then they were like, oh, no, you're too small. You can't play here. So then I had to come to reality that I probably was a lower level FCS player or a Division II player. And that was hard for me to grasp, especially since, a lot of my friends that I actually grew up with, I see all the things that they're doing, and they're doing really well. And then, we kind of lost contact, and I feel like I can do just as well as them. So I just got together with a group of guys that went to Cathedral and decided to go to St. Joseph's College in Rensselaer, Indiana, which I didn't even know where Rensselaer, Indiana was, being from Indianapolis, till I started visiting the school. And as you go to Indianapolis, and other schools recruited me along the way, even Division III schools. So I was just on a mission. And unfortunately for me, I had an opportunity that someone got hurt early in training camp at St. Joseph's. And I just kind of took the bull by its horn, and I was really driven. And I think the hard work that I put in, it helped, streamline that confidence that I needed to take it to the next level. And I really feel like it drove me to work harder than I thought I could work. I thought I was already working hard. I mean, man, when I got to the college program and had a great program there, actually Coach Bates, who's the DC from Pittsburgh, was my DC. And he could tell you that every day was like game day for me. And I put in work, and it showed the fruitions playing in the game where I got to play running back, defensive back, return kicks. And I had no idea there was an NFL scout or 2 NFL scouts there looking at another player on the other team. And after the game, they said, you got shot at the NFL. And I said, 6 months later, someone told me that I had a shot at the NFL when, before that, someone said I wasn't even a Division I football player. Not someone, people. So it was kind of interesting. And that kind of drove me after that. It really did. Having no idea that I would actually really have a shot. But it shows that the work I put in, I was being recognized. I scored 4 different ways in that game. A lot of guys got hurt, so I got to play running back too as well, and defensive back. And so then after that, I came back to my coach, who was also the president of the school at Cathedral, Coach McGinley, and asked him, could I now play Division I football? He said, absolutely. And I was a great student. I was a captain in high school. He says, you can go to Indiana State, Ball State, or IU. He said, IU, you probably won't start right away. Ball State, you start right away. Indiana State, you start right away. He was like, Indiana State's program is not as nice as Ball State. So I said, that's where I want to go. And he picked up the phone, pull out a booklet with all the names and numbers, and Coach Dave Land, who's not even there anymore, that's who we called. He said, come on up. And the rules are different then. So I had to sit out for a whole season, but I got to practice. And man, did that really take me to a whole nother level as far as my drive. Because then I saw the guys they recruited when I came out at my position. At the time, I was playing defensive back at Parmalee at senior. At Corey Kroon got drafted. 4th round was my year. They had some other guys running back, and I thought, those guys are pretty good. So I was playing defensive back pretty much the whole time on the scout team. And Coach Mentor, who his son is the DC for Vanderbilt right now, who we get to talk a lot and see each other a lot more now here today, said that I was going to be the start next year. I said, what are you going to do with those 2 freshmen that you started that came out with me? He said, oh, don't worry about that. One of those guys, we'll find a way to play them. And man, they just took off right off the bat. And a lot of us timing, being in the right scheme, right place, right time. I know it's a long-winded answer, but that's kind of how all the maturation process happened. And I couldn't even tell you that I had a shot at the league. And next thing I know, they said, 20 scouts are here to watch you play. I had no idea. None at all. I was just driven to be the best individual player that the God-given talent that he gave me. And that's all I can make. I never tried to be somebody that I couldn't be, or try to be better than I was, or do more than what I was. All I was going to do was just the best I could.
So because you had accomplished the goal of playing D1 football, when you get drafted by the Houston Oilers, there's no pressure. You just go play.
It really, that's so true. Playing the Senior Bowl, I felt like that was a little more pressure because I felt like, oh man, I got to see all these guys I watched on TV from wherever, from Tennessee to Colorado or wherever they were from, and all these high-profile players. That grew my confidence. And then when I got there to the league, I thought nobody thought I was going to make the team. I mean, actually, my goal initially was to make the practice squad till all the injuries happened. Then I said, oh, okay, I got a really good shot. Then I got injured, which I hardly ever really missed games, but I sprained my MCL. I got ear hole really on a kickoff, trying to be the first guy to run down the kickoff. They did a cross block, didn't even see the guy. So I sprained my MCL, but that was probably 3 weeks into the preseason, and so I thought, oh man, I may get cut. I don't know, just because I wasn't playing. And that's when John McClain wrote an article that this guy's Blaine Bishop is really showing rising eyebrows, and that he's a pretty good player. He fits the scheme and system perfectly. And at the time, I was playing corner. I had no idea until they moved me because of all the injuries at safety. I was more of a nickel dime guy.
But Blaine, you're not big for a corner.
No, I wasn't.
Let alone big for a safety.
No, I wasn't.
I mean, you show no fear. Were you always like that?
I can't recall when I wasn't. I really can't. I loved football, and I played running back, and I was successful every time I played. Everywhere I played, from little leagues all the way. I was on Little League with, I don't know if you remember the kid, Derek Mays, played in Notre Dame. Right. We played on the same
receiver.
Right. Mm-hmm. Well, he couldn't touch me then to all the way up, but he was bigger than me, as you were talking about size. So I probably would say I've always had a big heart, really, and stick my nose in there when it came to football. And I think that was just kind of genetically just who I was, based off of just being tough, not only mentally but physically, from my mom just raising me as a single parent, and a lot of my aunts surrounding me and making me tough and making sure that I was held accountable. Really throughout the process with the Boys and Girls Club, with Ralph Dow, who's head there, director, who's a professor, who really was my mentor. And then getting Cathedral really kind of transformed my whole life. Got me to see a whole different world, and they're still close friends and family to me. So that kind of where it started, but yeah, the heart was always there. Playing that 46 defense, though, that tested that for sure early on. But Buddy Ryan showed me how to read blocking schemes, and I really took, because he said I had a lot of power. I was squatting 500, 15 times, and he says, you learn how to come in and read these blocks, beat them to the punch. These big guys, they're going to be strong, so you don't want to get in the battle with them, stay low. And he taught me all these different, he gave them terms like slither moves and different moves. And he said, you beat them punch, you can do pretty good. And he believed in me, and it made me believe that I could actually do it, because at first I was very hesitant, especially when you're 9 or 7. I'm kind of at the linebacker spot, really. But he said we wanted your versatility to cover, to make adjustments because you're a smart football player. It's going to be hard for these guys to pick up the scheme and system, and they didn't want to get nosy in there, as you're touching on, which is really tough on your body. So, yeah.
All right, so we're in the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame. There are a lot of great stories. None better than yours. Because, well, I mean, yours is pretty remarkable. It's almost like a Disney story to get to the NFL, and then you become a star. Not only do you become a starter, you become a 4-time Pro Bowler, a 2-time All-Pro, regarded as one of the best of your era. I mean, the statistics, I got them right here. I can sit and read them, but that doesn't matter. You know, if you understand if a guy makes All-Pro, what he's about. How did you go from, I just made the team, I'm glad to be here, to starter to All-Pro?
And I think it started in my first start, and that was against the 49ers on Christmas Day. And I was behind Bubba McDowell, who had just come off a Pro Bowl, and he got injured, and he wasn't going to play, really. They thought he could play, so he warmed up, and I had, but I prepared as though I was going to start because I practiced all week. And I think that kind of catapulted my confidence in that first game. You're going against Jerry Rice, Steve Young, a lot of great players, Ricky Waters. And, I got the chance to get after the quarterback and some of the things that I'm very comfortable with in my ability to do certain things, and that was one of them. And got to, get a sack cost fumble versus Steve Young. Got to cover Jerry Rice one-on-one, which I was frightened at the time as a rookie. Legs are shaking. I said, I know they're going to throw over here, and luckily I had a lot of good pressure. Had some great teammates, but I think that kind of drove me to build on that. I know I can play this league, and I could do pretty good at this level. I never thought that I'd be a Pro Bowler. I never set those goals to be all pro. I've always relied on just be the best version of what I can be, and that's it. And if that garnered me Pro Bowl, that garnered me just being the starter, that even garnered me being the backup. That's it is what it is. I was going to put in my preparation, the hard work that I needed to get better each and every day, let alone every off season. Continue to evaluate myself to get better. Have other people look at it, tell me what I needed to work on, and that kind of had just the maturation process kind of grew, and just getting more comfortable and confident. Really, confidence plays a lot in being an athlete, especially for me, being that I didn't look like I was going to be intimidating anybody with my size. Just run onto the field. So I played with a lot of energy, and I would say a lot of luck too. And I played with some great players. So the focal point became me, and then it became about them, because they helped me get to being a great player, let alone sitting here right here talking to you.
Well, you were a great player in Houston. You were a great player in Memphis. You were a great player at Vanderbilt at Eastside Stadium. I mean, you did everywhere. I want to go back to the theme of improvement, though, and your former teammates saying the guy just never stopped getting better. What was the weakness in your game that you felt like you improved the most that allowed you to succeed?
Well, being in the 46 defense, you go back and look at the history. So I was trying to make sure that I fit the scheme, the system, and then the drawbacks of playing that position. It takes a pounding. So I really had to develop my body to a point where I had to take care of it, where I was doing acupuncture, deep tissue massage twice a week, therapy. Part of your rehab is just your workout. That's what it was.
So you embraced all of that earlier than most players, probably.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, because I was watching other veterans. When my rookie year, I was going in, why are you staying in the cold tub? I couldn't stand the cold tub. But then they were like, hey man, this helps you with your recovery. So I said, well, I'm going to do it then, because right now I feel like I'm about to be dead. My legs are shot, let alone my shoulders and everything else. So once I got that, then I started asking more questions, and it kind of led to me doing all kind of different things that I never even imagined that I would try to do on my body, from cupping to name it. There's a lot of therapeutic things that you had to do to be prepared to play and prepare the next week to be that same guy. And there was also other things that I would do that a lot of people didn't do, but you had to figure out a way to be that way. And that was how to play pissed off. Really. At the end of the day, it became that. And what happened was I saw myself in a game get cheap shotted. And then after that, and I wasn't going to get a penalty and retaliate. So what I was going to do was I was going to find a way to get this guy back. That's what I was going to get him back in between the lines. And I turn on the tape and I'm watching it, and I go, I played different after that. And I said, I have to find a way to recreate how I played that at that moment, all the rest of that game. So then I just kind of came up with different things that would piss me off throughout the week about a certain team, or any team. I just find anything, any nugget that I can get to give me that edge, to help me play with the abandonment and nastiness that I needed to play that position to keep me going. It was actually mentally draining to try to find something every week. But once I found that out and then ways to do it, the build up to it was pretty fun actually, to see if I could duplicate that.
And so now, you've been on the radio for nearly 20 years.
I don't know about
You have a new career. A lot of young people say, well, I know he was a former player, but I remember him now as the guy who hosts the afternoon show on 104.5 The Zone. What do you think the elements are that you bring to the radio that you brought to the football field? Are there similarities, or is it all different?
I would say it was all different. You know, for me, it was a dream come true that not only did I get to play football, but I also got to broadcast. That was a dream. I got an award for Boys and Girls Club Youth of the Year for broadcasting. We got presented by Brian Gumble. So that was always my goal, to broadcast. I never knew I was going to make the NFL.
So was Brian Gumble your idol?
As far as in broadcasting, yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. At the Steak and Burger Dinner, I was presented, and I was part of a Culver Military Academy summer program that I did 3 years in a row, which I think led to why the Tight Oilers at the time drafted me, because he was
Mr. Adams went to Culver.
Yes, he did, and I did not know that until
he loved Culver.
Until we moved here is when he told me that. So I had no idea.
Small world.
Yeah, it is. And I almost went to school there. I just felt like, oh man, I don't want to go all the way there. I was in the drum and bugle corps, by the way, that I carried the bass drum. So that was kind of good. But I thrived in an environment like that where you had to bounce a quarter off your bed, make it on, and it kind of makes you kind of, hey man, you can put that ball back where it was, so it kind of makes you that way. But I really loved it. I loved it. I probably, looking back on it, I probably should have went, but I did. I was afraid to be away from my family, my mom and my family and everybody for that long of a time for school. But the summer times, it was awesome. So yeah, that was pretty cool. So it kind of led to everything else.
I know you've walked through the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame, and I know you've looked at a lot of the names. And I want to end with this. What do you think that Blaine Bishop has in common with everybody else who's been inducted? Is there one quality that you think everybody here who's been inducted has in common?
I have to think about that one. I'm going to go back to what you asked me before, though, as far as broadcasting, as far as, I was elated. And what makes me think that people like listening to me, I would say, I was talking to John McClain, and he always told me, dumb it down and talk to it like you're talking to someone who really doesn't know football. And that kind of started the pendulum of me kind of talking on air and being comfortable in my element, and explaining football in a way actually that I learned it, and to make it simple so everybody can understand it. And then I kind of tested on my wife too.
All right, so let me throw this at you, because I was thinking about this, because in researching you for this, it seems like to me it's about passion. Everybody here loves what they do. You love to practice, you love to play, you love to compete, you love to hit people, you love to get on the radio and talk. I mean, all of these things, you're passionate, and when you're passionate, it's not work anymore, right?
Yeah, I would say passion, the hard work, just the feel, the excitement that I get. And it's really weird because somebody's like, man, dang, were you yelling? I said, no, man, that was passion. I love football like no other. I mean, so I would completely agree with that. But I'm sure all of us have some traits that somewhere along the way there was someone that helped them along the way, some mentors, some, their hard work and due diligence. And by the way, the man upstairs, and some breaks that you needed along the way, some opportunities that you were afforded because of that. So I'm sure that, as in everybody's story, I'm sure they have some special stories and some special people that helped them.
Well, this is a special guy right here. Tennessee Sports Hall of Famer, class of 2018. It was a great class, by the way. Outstanding group of people. Blaine Bishop. Houston Oilers, Tennessee Titans, a Pro Bowler as each on the Tennessee Talk of Fame, presented by the Tennessee Lottery from right here at the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame in downtown Nashville inside Bridgestone Arena. I'm Mike Keith. Thanks for joining us.